Welcome to In Pursuit of Truth. This is your host, Sir Patrick Mack. You may remember me from such videos as the last one that I made. Yep, same dude. That was me. It's been a while, hasn't it? Should we bro hug? Maybe we'll just wave. It's probably more hygienic. Yeah, I want to let you know what's going on with me, taking you over here to my Twitter page. And this was as of yesterday. I got another one of these. Oh, it's a letter from YouTube. It's nice of them. Let's see what they got to say. Hi, In Pursuit of Truth. Hi. You can call me Patrick. As you may know, our community guidelines describe which content we allow and don't allow on YouTube. You know, it's funny. I do know about those community guidelines. I've had them shoved in my face just about daily for 6 months. So yeah, kind of familiar with the community guidelines. Your video, In Pursuit of Truth presents new QAnon 7118 was flagged for us to review. Yeah, well, I don't blame them. After all, look at that offensive title. It's got the date and everything. Upon review, we've determined that it may not be suitable for all viewers, and it has been placed behind an age restriction. Wah, 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 wah. Sir Patrick Mack Hawk down. So I got hit with some age restrictions on some of my videos because I'm PG-13, I guess, even though you got to be 18 to see this video. And this video was covering, it was QAnon, and it was covering the Portland riot. And we all know it's totally not okay to post videos about the Portland riot. So if you're going to post about the Portland riot, then I guess, wow, that guy's got a gun. He's posting about the Portland riot. So I guess if your name is Sir Patrick Mack and you are posting about the Portland riot, that's totally not okay. And it's in violation of their little terms. If a video contains violent or graphic content that appears to be posting in a shocking, sensational, or disrespectful manner, it's less likely to be allowed on YouTube. Well, that's probably where they got, because I'm definitely not shocking, and I most certainly don't think I'm disrespectful. However, I am rather sensational. Thanks for noticing, YouTube. So anyway, that's what I've been dealing with over the last few days. And you can see this was just one video, but this has happened on a lot of videos. And when you submit this form, this, to be fair to them, I actually got this a couple days ago on the last form saying, please note, abuse of our legal forms may result in the termination of your YouTube account. God dog, I didn't even get to see the legal form. I just pushed the button asking for the legal form. So you can see what's going on here. Now, to be fair to them, they did eventually send me a little message after I appealed, and you can see my appeal right there. In accordance with the community guidelines, blah, blah, blah. I don't want to bore you with all that stuff, but you can see my reason. This video has no profanity or sexual content. It shows video that has been, I think, widely used in whatever main formats or whatever terms that I used. So after much deliberation, I immediately got a response. In accordance with the community guidelines, this video has been age restricted from viewers under the age of 18. So there you go. Thanks for thinking about it for at least a minute or two. YouTube, appreciate you. Anyway, that's what's going on with me. And I'm going to take you over to my YouTube page as well. Now, please keep in mind, I'm not bringing this stuff up to boo-hoo me because I'm all butthurt or anything. I just want to let you know what some of these content creators that you are watching go through every day. As you can see, a lot of my views have been stuck right around 26, 27,000. And then we get to my last video and it was cut in half. So that doesn't necessarily upset me because of my numbers and blah, blah, blah. Folks, I've been doing this since 2001. I don't really get too butthurt about this stuff. However, my concern is you, that I want to make sure that I am reaching you. So do me a favor, and in the comments below, let me know if you are getting me loud and clear. Leave me a 5-5, tell me everything's cool. And if you are having trouble either finding my videos, or if you're being unsubscribed or unchecked or whatever it might be, do me a favor and would you please leave a comment below as to what your situation is. I will screenshot that. I will not use your name, but I am compiling that just in case YouTube ever wants to go at me for abusing the legal form. So that's a big reason why I am letting you know, not to complain about my woe is me and everything, but that's what's been going on. Also, you can follow me on Gab. I do not tend to Gab because Gab does not let me. So I know some of you have been sending me messages on Gab. It'll light up and I'll go to check them and it just tells me that I've got nothing on Gab. So I don't have anything bad to say about Gab. I'm just not so sure that it's working out for me. But I will keep trying to put videos on Gab as well. I am also on BitChute just in case of emergency. You can find me over there on In Pursuit of Truth. And of course, what would even be better than if Twitter jumped into the party? And they did. They removed my tweet about 3 times, this tweet right here. So finally, I just retweeted myself and I got to you. So fun had for the whole family. Even Facebook jumped in and tried to hack my account 3 times this week. There you go. Now, having said all that, I'm feeling rather fortunate. After all, I've still got my health. I've got you. You've got me. We've got each other. And that's a pretty good thing. I'm feeling pretty pumped. Like a pumped up thing. Like a thing that gets pumped up. I'm pumped is what I'm saying. That's what I'm trying to tell you. And of course, my rough week pales in comparison to many people around the world. I'm very thankful for the things that I have. I want to take you over here to NBC News. Powerful GOP Representative Jim Jordan accused of turning blind eye to sexual abuse as Ohio State wrestling coach. It's sad for me to hear that he's denying, said one former wrestler. I don't know why he would unless it's a cover-up. Representative Jim Jordan, the powerful Republican congressman from Ohio, is being accused by former wrestlers he coached more than 2 decades ago at Ohio State University of failing to stop the team doctor from molesting them and other students. The university announced in April that it was investigating accusations that Dr. Richard Strauss, who died in 2005, abused team members when he was the team doctor from the mid-1970s to the late 1990s. Jordan, who was assistant wrestling coach at the university from 1986 to 1994, has repeatedly said he knew nothing of the abuse until former students began speaking out this spring and continued to deny it on Tuesday. His denials, however, have been met with skepticism and anger from some former members of the wrestling team. Okay, so many of you have probably already heard this story. Representative Jim Jordan, who's been going pretty hard to make sure that we get this report the way we need to see it. He's been very, very vocal, hasn't he? As a matter of fact, he's been probably one of the good guys. And now we get this Dunyasha Yetz, who also has a pretty questionable background. I don't want to go way into this story, but I find it very interesting that these wrestlers are coming out now talking about this. And of course, now it's been mentioned that the law firm that was representing these wrestlers, they're not representing the wrestlers, but there's a law firm that's being hired by Ohio State, and that law firm is this Perkins Coie. And it's the same group that Obama's campaign paid $972,000 to secretly pay Fusion GPS in 2016. This is from the Federalist. Former President Barack Obama's official campaign organization has directed nearly $1 million to the same law firm that funneled money to Fusion GPS, the firm behind the infamous Steele dossier. Since April of 2016, Obama for America, OFA, has paid over $972,000 to Perkins Coie, records filed with the Federal Election Commission, FEC, show. Okay, so this was back in 2017 that this was reported. But so this same group that funneled money to Fusion GPS for this dossier is now going after Representative Jim Jordan. And of course, that's impeccable timing for these wrestlers to all of a sudden speak up about some guy who passed away in 2005. So he's not really there to give his story either. Interesting. And then, of course, the same week, we get this story here. This is off of the True Pundit. Embattled GOP Congressman Jim Jordan's nephew, All-American NCAA wrestler, dies in crash after car runs off the road. A 21-year-old wrestler for the University of Wisconsin died in a car crash Thursday night. The wrestling team said their hearts are heavy after hearing about the loss of teammate Eli Stickley. Our hearts are heavy today. The entire Badger wrestling family extends its most heartfelt condolences to the family and friends of Eli Stickley, our brother and teammate who passed away last night, the team said in a statement. Our thoughts and prayers are with Eli's family and friends. Stickley of Urbana, Ohio, was an academic All-American wrestler and an NCAA qualifier. So this is pretty, really, really sad. That young kid, looks like a talented wrestler, passing away. And I think this was really the most interesting part about this. The vehicle Stickley was driving left the roadway. Traveled into the right-hand ditch, overcorrected, and rolled across both westbound lanes of traffic, according to the report. It came to rest on its passenger side. Jordan is embroiled in an NCAA-related wrestling controversy now over alleged sexual misconduct by the Ohio State team personnel decades ago. So this is a terrible, terrible story. And look, this might have just been a really, really awful accident. We all know that. But we also know that this timing is incredibly impeccable. Is it not? So this, unless maybe this kid was just lost control or whatever, it just left the roadway, traveled into the right-hand ditch, overcorrected, and rolled. I guess, maybe, it's possible. But you see where I'm going with this. And now I want to take you to this interview real quick of Representative Jim Jordan talking with Brett Baier about the situation.
Congressman, you've been in politics a long time. Last thing, is this the toughest thing you've had to deal with?
It's been the toughest week. I mean, it's just been tough for our fans. It's been, look, I don't want to, it's just been, but there's lots of things that people have to go through, tough things. But it's just been an emotional week, I should say, because our son got married last Saturday. This all happened. Last night we lost a nephew. He was killed. He wrestles for the University of Wisconsin. He's a junior, national qualifier, wonderful kid, and was killed in a car wreck last night, traveling out to Iowa to see his sister, who's the statistician for the Iowa wrestling team. But look, I mean, all kinds of Americans have to deal with tough things, but this is wrong. It's just wrong.
Congressman, sorry for your loss, your family's loss. We appreciate you dealing with these allegations on the show, and we'll continue to follow it.
Thanks, Brad.
Well, I don't know quite what to say about all this. I've watched this video a handful of times. It doesn't get much easier to see. It's tough to see a good, strong man just being broken in front of you. And who knows what Representative Jim Jordan knows about all of this. Clearly, when he mentioned the accident, he just kept saying, it's wrong, it's wrong. I'm quite sure he's very aware of what's happening in D.C. And these stories are really tough to report on because we don't get much information. Mainstream media isn't feeding the whole story either way. And so it gets really, really tough to do any kind of real investigative journalism on this kind of stuff as an average citizen. But clearly we see something very, very weird about this. We've been talking about intellectual property for how long now? Many of you guys have been watching these Serial Brain 2 decodes, which are fantastic, by the way. I've seen them. I've been following them on Reddit for a while. I really, really like it. But you see what I mean? We've been talking about intellectual property, controlling of vehicles, all these kinds of things. And of course, these things seem so outlandish if you just come out of nowhere with this. But all you got to do is look into Representative Jim Jordan's eyes to know that something's not right about this. And we can agree on that. The timing's not right. Everything about this is all wrong. And here we go. One of the good guys. And so this is really tough. My heart goes out to Jim Jordan, the family of the boy as well, too. And I just don't know what to say. But this is real. So for those of you who've been posting saying nothing's really been happening, I think Representative Jim Jordan would beg to differ. I think a lot of people would beg to differ. People are dying and we're at war. And the only people that are talking about this are people like myself and maybe other channels that you might be following that are covering kind of similar content, and we're all getting banned. Mainstream media isn't covering this. People aren't telling you this. And we've had enough. We've had enough. We got to do something about this for Jim Jordan's sake, for your sake, for my sake. We got to move on. Ridiculous story number 2 comes out of New Jersey. This is off of Fox News. New Jersey couple killed after home explodes. Officials investigating cause of blast. Look at that. Look at that. That is a blast right there. That is a blast. Ay. An elderly couple died Saturday morning after an explosion completely reduced their 2-story home to piles of rubble. The couple, identified as John Palladino, 73, and Carol Palladino, 72, were the only people inside the home in Newfield, New Jersey when the blast occurred shortly after 6 a.m. Investigators have not revealed what caused the blast, but have said they do not suspect any foul play. Neighbors said the couple had lived in their home for decades, and it was where they had raised their children. An appliance had been delivered on Friday, neighbors said, speculating the blast could be a gas explosion. And here's some more pictures here off of Deborah Marco's Twitter. As you can see, it looks like, the whole thing's annihilated. God, dog, look, you can see all the fiberglass stuffing up in the trees. Good Lord. The two were the only people inside the home when the explosion occurred, the Gloucester County Prosecutor's Office said. Autopsies on the victims are slated for Sunday. The well-liked couple was active in the community too, according to WPVI-TV. Carol Palladino was a catechism teacher at a local church and a retired school nurse. John Palladino served on the Newfield School Board and also worked at a funeral home. Okay, blah, blah, blah. But get down to this. The explosion was so powerful that it could be felt several miles away. Utility workers shut off gas lines to dozens of homes as a precaution. Okay. And then this Francesca Mancuso says it was a huge ball of fire, a massive ball of fire. We heard people screaming for help and blah, 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 blah. And of course the Red Cross shows up. Awesome. Now, some very strange things about this story. Evidently this happened shortly after 6 a.m. So evidently they were baking a really big ass pie at 6 a.m. Would have taken a hell of a lot of gas to get going, unless there was a gas leak or something like that in the house and then something sparked. I suppose a big boom like that could happen. But to hear it from miles away. Now, folks, oddly enough, I have a story that I can compare this to. I was in Cairo, Egypt, 9 or 10 years ago, and I actually caught an oven go off in a neighborhood nearby. It was maybe 2 blocks away. It happened, and it was in this ghetto, and it was, I don't want to go way into the story, but an oven went off, believe it or not, and I heard the explosion, and it was big. It was a big, big explosion. Now, I heard it from a couple blocks away. They're saying this could have been heard from miles away. Now, this Carol Palladino, catechism teacher at a local church and a retired school nurse. Well, I'm disappointed in you, Fox News. I'm going to take you over here. This is from WeThePeopleFree.com, and this is a report by Sorcha Faal, and as reported to her Western subscribers. So a lot of this was translated. A highly disturbing new Foreign Intelligence Service, SVR, report circulating in the Kremlin today says that a U.S. federal government witness who is due to testify this coming week before a grand jury in the expanding FBI probe into Hillary Clinton and her Clinton Foundation was violently killed, along with her husband, in a massive explosion that completely obliterated her New Jersey home, and whose expected testimony centered on a notorious American-based pharmaceutical company who gave money to the Clinton Foundation in a bid to cover up their drug price gouging crimes. And then it goes on to say that some of these words will be a little bit different due to the translation. Over the past month, according to this report, SVR signal intelligence analysts monitoring American intelligence agencies' communication activity in the United States recorded an unusual increase in electronic traffic between the FBI field office in Little Rock, Arkansas, and the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Southern District of New York. That in past examples of this occurring meant that a U.S. federal grand jury had been impaneled to hear testimony from witnesses presented before it by FBI investigators and or U.S. attorneys, and was noted at the time by the SVR as not being an unusual event, as this particular FBI field office is criminally investigating the Clinton Foundation that's based in New York City, and from where it is logical to assume most of the witnesses with knowledge of it would be located. At 1:18, that would be Greenwich Mean Time on 7th of July, this report continues. The Global Nuclear Defense Network of the Ministry of Defense sent to the SVR an investigative request notification for an examination of a sub-1 kiloton seismic wave detected emanating from latitude, and then you've got the coordinates right there, with SVR analysts then identifying these coordinates as being the small village of Newfield, New Jersey, with public U.S. news sources within the hour confirming that indeed a massive explosion had occurred there that obliterated a 2-story house and whose shock wave jolted people from their beds as much as a mile and a half away. As per standard protocol and procedures, this report details SVR analysts, in their replying to the MOD's request for information about this event, conducted a database search of the 2 persons named as having been killed in this explosion. Carol Palladino, age 72, and her husband John Palladino, age 73, with, and very surprisingly to them, an SVR database target hit on Carol Palladino being revealed as she had previously been identified by SVR analysts as being a probable witness against the Clinton Foundation. And there's a picture of her right there. Now, deceased Carol Palladino, this report details, was the lead school nurse for Millville Public Schools, located in Cumberland County, New Jersey, and whose inclusion in the SVR's database of potential witnesses against the Clinton Foundation was due to her being a central identified and named figure in the creation of a document titled Training Protocols for the Emergency Administration of Epinephrine for the New Jersey Department of Education. And that is right here. I will leave this for you below. training protocols for the emergency administration of epinephrine. And you will see and I'm sorry, I can't blow this up for you, but you'll see just a couple pages down, I have her name highlighted right here as one of the certified school nurses. She is indeed mentioned in this document. All right. Epinephrine, also called adrenaline, this report explains, is a hormone used to treat anaphylaxis. That is a serious allergic reaction that is rapid in onset and may cause death, and whose administering of is done via a medical device known as an epinephrine autoinjector, whose name of use in the United States is EpiPen, and that the Carol Palladino collaborated on report for its emergency administration led New Jersey to pass a law requiring all schools in their state, both public and private, to purchase it. And they're passing another law allowing New Jersey school nurses to also use EpiPens without parental permission. Whether knowingly or not knowingly, Carol Palladino, by her being a main target person in the plot to force all New Jersey schools to purchase EpiPens, this report continues, she nevertheless became embroiled in one of the largest medical scams ever known in U.S. history that began when the American global generic and specialty pharmaceuticals company Mylan NV suddenly began funneling money to the Clinton Foundation, and that nearly immediately after which saw Gail Connolly Manchin take over as the head of the National Association of State Boards of Education, and who spearheaded an unprecedented effort that encourages states to require schools to purchase medical devices that fight life-threatening allergic reactions. That in turn helped pave the way for Mylan NV, maker of EpiPens, to develop a near monopoly in school nurses' offices throughout the United States, with New Jersey being one of the 11 states drafting laws requiring epinephrine auto-injectors bought by schools, and that the Obama-Clinton regime conspired with using their EpiPen law that gave funding preference to states that did what Gail Connolly Manchin told them to do. And as we know, that husband would be the Senator Joe Manchin right here. Unbeknownst to the American people, though, this report notes is that Gail Connolly Manchin is the mother of Heather Bresch, who in 2012, right after her mother took control of the National Association of State Boards of Education and began her campaign to force schools to buy EpiPens, became the CEO of EpiPen maker Mylan NV with Heather Bresch upon taking control, raising the price of EpiPens over 400% to $600 per dose and skyrocketing her personal worth to over $27 million. And whose protection for this vile plot was provided by her father and Gail Connolly Manchin's husband, Democratic Party U.S. Senator Joe Manchin, who is right here. To an even greater scandal catastrophe awaiting Hillary Clinton, as it dwarfs to near insignificance her EpiPen 1, this report further notes is her active and knowing participation in the United States opioid crisis that the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention warns, whose drug overdoses attributed to in the U.S. have increased by 13.3% from August 2016 to August 2017, and now total 67,344 deaths per year, nearly all of which were deliberately caused by OxyContin maker Purdue Pharma, who, after funneling tens of millions of dollars to the Clinton Foundation, saw the Obama-Clinton regime to a blind eye to their flooding of America with opioids, and as exampled by Democratic Party U.S. Senator Joe Manchin's home state of West Virginia being flooded with more than 780 million opioid pills that roughly equals 433 pills for every man, woman, and child in his state. This report, after describing the horrific opioid crisis in America, concludes with SVR analysts noting that this past week also provided an explanation as to why the FBI task force investigating Hillary Clinton and her Clinton Foundation, has been increasing their electronic communications with the United States Attorney Office for the Eastern District of Tennessee, and that is due to a shocking court case currently underway in Knoxville, Tennessee, that was brought against the Clinton Foundation, bribed pharmaceutical giant Purdue Pharma by Tennessee Attorney General Herbert H. Slattery III on behalf of the citizens of his state, and whose shocking to the conscience just released by order of the courts documents stunningly reveal. Purdue's own records show company founders and executives pressed its sales team to push Tennessee doctors to prescribe deadly dosages of OxyContin on a long-term basis while lying to doctors about the dangers. Purdue leaders lied to the medical community, politicians, and the public not only about the dangers of OxyContin, but created a false narrative that long-term use of opioids didn't create addicts, but instead caused pseudo-addictive symptoms. The group sought to convince the public they had a right to opioids. Tennessee's legislature was pushed by one of those advocacy groups to pass a law requiring doctors to prescribe opioids if a patient insisted. Purdue also used fake advocacy literature, such as pamphlets, videos, and social media, to convince the public that long-term use of opioids led to a higher quality of life. The firm sent doctors fake literature with similar claims, but added material on how OxyContin, Purdue's financial rainmaker, was better for patients than other opioids on the market. And you can see a nice little picture of this charming young lady right here. Interesting stuff. So there's a little bit of a background there on this Carol Palladino, and I'm not sure if we're going to get much in the mainstream media about this. Fox News didn't cover any of this stuff, so thank you to this Sorcha file for doing a little bit of digging here, and I have a feeling that there's probably some more creepy connections involved in this, but there you go. Okay, so those stories are kind of drag, so let me leave you with an awesome story. This is off of RT. Train passenger helps rescue 26 girls from the child traffickers with just one tweet. Let me see if I can blow this up for you here. A train passenger is being hailed a hero after saving 26 girls from suspected child traffickers. Adarsh Srivastava raised the alarm by tweeting authorities after spotting the girls on a train in the Uttar Pradesh, North India. Srivastava noticed the 26 girls, who he thought looked distressed, traveling in the same carriage as him on Thursday, concerned that something untoward was underway. Srivastava tweeted rail authorities, the Minister for Railways, and even the Prime Minister. And here's the tweet right here. I am traveling in Advad Express in S5 in my coach, and there are 25 girls. All are juvenile. Some of them are crying and all feeling insecure. And then here's this next tweet here. Subject to human trafficking. My current station, is Hari Nagar. My next station is Bagaha, and then Gorakhpur. Kindly help them out, please help. And then you see the tweet from Indian Railway, Siva, kindly look into this matter. In another tweet, he alleged that the youngsters could be subject to human trafficking. The Ministry of Railways responded to Srivastava's tweet half an hour later and tagged railway police forces in the tweet, urging them to take action. Just a few stops later, plainclothes officers boarded the train. According to Scroll India, the group of girls were found with two men aged 22 and 55 who were arrested by police. All of them are from West Champaran in Bihar, officials said. The girls were being taken from, anyway, they were getting out of there is where they were going, and they were going to Idgah. When questioned, the girls were unable to answer anything convincingly, so they have been handed over to the Child Welfare Committee. Srivastava is now being praised as a hero on social media. Such response makes me proud to be an Indian, one user posted. Thank you, action is happening. Thanks for your quick response, said another. The rescue comes less than a month after India's Railway Board launched an awareness campaign to highlight the risk of vulnerable young children on the railway network. The campaign encourages railway passengers and employees to remain vigilant while using India's train systems to help railway police stamp out child traffickers. According to the Ministry of Women and Child Development, over 9,000 Indian children were victims of trafficking in 2016. Many children are sold into slavery after being lured from their homes in rural areas to the cities with promises of jobs. Children, usually from poor and rural areas, are hoodwinked into leaving their homes on the promise of getting jobs in the city. They are then trafficked for child labor, sex work, child brides, adoption, and sometimes sent overseas. Earlier this year, the ministry announced that it was increasing its effort to tackle trafficking. Well, it sounds like it's working. And to you, Mr. Srivastava, congratulations. I'm actually going to get on his Twitter after I make this video and congratulate him myself just to add to the crew. There you go. That is all I've got for you today. I'm going to leave this video short just to make sure that I can even get this video out to you and make sure that everything's cool without getting banned and blocked and yikes. So keep it cool. If any Q pops up, I will be there. And of course, I will be making videos as long as I can get to you. And if you don't see anything from me, just hop on Twitter. Won't you join me over there at IPOT1776? That's In Pursuit of Truth, IPOT 1776 on Twitter. And of course, you can gab me, you can BitChute me, and you can always catch me here at In Pursuit of Truth. Okay, folks, until next time, this is Sir Patrick Mack. Stay off the freshly cut grass.